Imagine standing on a misty battlefield in 12th century England, the clash of steel ringing in your ears, and a towering figure in shining armor charging forward, his banner snapping in the wind. Who were these medieval knights, these legendary warriors whose tales still captivate us? Were they the noble heroes of storybooks or something far more complex? Today we're peeling back the layers of history to uncover secrets that will change how you see these icons forever. From their grueling training to their unbreakable codes of honor, from shocking betrayals to hidden innovations, we're diving deep into the world of medieval knights. Stick around, because by the end, you'll discover a truth about knighthood that might just blow your mind. Let's embark on this epic journey together. Picture a young boy, barely 10 years old, leaving his family to train as a knight. That's where our story begins, with the brutal path to knighthood. In medieval Europe, becoming a knight wasn't just a job, it was a lifelong quest. Boys from noble families were sent to castles as pages, learning manners, combat, and loyalty. By their teens, they became squires, serving knights directly, polishing armor and training with weapons. The process was relentless, often lasting over a decade. One wrong move, like failing to show respect, could end their dreams. Imagine the pressure, every day proving your worth, knowing only the best would kneel before a king to be dubbed a knight. The ceremony itself was a spectacle, a night of prayer, a symbolic bath to cleanse the soul, and a sword tap on the shoulder. But what was it really like to endure this? Think about it. What kind of person would you become after years of such discipline? Drop a comment below and let me know. Could you survive this grueling journey? Now let's step into the heart of a knight's world, their armor. When you think of a knight, you probably see a gleaming suit of plate armor, right? But here's a secret. Early knights didn't wear that. In the 11th century, they relied on chainmail called hauberk, made of thousands of interlinked iron rings. It was heavy, up to 30 pounds, and took months to craft. By the 14th century, plate armor emerged, custom-fitted to the knight's body, offering unmatched protection. A full suit weighed about 50 pounds, but it was so well distributed that knights could still move swiftly, even do cartwheels. The craftsmanship was astonishing. Smiths were the tech geniuses of their day. Yet armor wasn't perfect. It was hot, restrictive, and if you fell in battle, getting up was a nightmare. One chronicler described a knight at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, trapped under his armor, struggling to rise as enemies closed in. What do you think it felt like to wear this second skin in the chaos of battle? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to hear. As we explore further, let's talk about the weapons that made knights so fearsome. The sword was their signature, often passed down through generations, sometimes even given names like Excalibur in legend. A good sword was balanced, sharp enough to slice through chainmail, and a status symbol. But knights also wielded lances for jousting, maces to crush armor, and daggers for close combat. Training with these was brutal. Squires practiced for hours, striking wooden dummies called quintains. At tournaments, knights showcased their skills, sometimes dying in the process. The 13th century knight William Marshall, a legend in England, won countless tournaments, earning fame and fortune. His story shows the stakes. One bad swing and you could lose everything. Imagine being a knight, your heart pounding as you charge with a lance. What weapon would you choose in a medieval duel? Let me know below and let's see which one gets the most votes. Moving seamlessly into the battlefield, knights were the elite warriors of their time, but war was no fairy tale. Battles like Crusades in 1346 saw knights charging into hails of arrows, their armor tested to the limit. The code of chivalry demanded courage, but it also led to reckless bravery. French knights at Crusades ignored tactics, charging headlong into English longbowmen, only to be cut down. Yet knights weren't just fighters, they were strategists. They planned sieges, led troops, and negotiated truces. Their presence could turn the tide, like at the Battle of Poitiers in 1356, where English knights captured the French king. The chaos of medieval warfare was unforgiving. Mud, blood, and betrayal were constants. Picture yourself commanding a siege tower under enemy fire. What strategy would you use to outsmart your foes? Drop your ideas in the comments and let's debate medieval tactics. Let's shift gears to the code that defined knights, chivalry. You've heard the term, but what did it really mean? Chivalry was a blend of honor, loyalty, and courtesy, rooted in Christian ideals. Knights swore to protect the weak, serve their lord, and uphold justice. But here's the twist, it wasn't always noble. Some knights ignored the code, plundering villages or betraying allies for profit. The 12th century knight Geoffrey de Urry. Mandeville, for example, switched sides during England's Civil War, earning a reputation as a ruthless opportunist. Yet others, like the French knight Bayard, embodied the ideal, earning titles like the knight without fear and without reproach. Chivalry shaped culture, inspiring poems and romances, but it also set impossible standards. How do you think knights balanced honor with survival in a brutal world? Share your take below. I'd love to hear your perspective. As we delve deeper, let's uncover a hidden side of knighthood, their role in society. Knights weren't just warriors, they were the rock stars of medieval Europe. They owned land, advised kings, and shaped politics. A knight's castle was a hub of power, hosting feasts and tournaments that drew crowds. But with privilege came responsibility. Knights enforced laws, collected taxes, and protected peasants from bandits. In return, they demanded loyalty and labor. This feudal system was the backbone of medieval life, but it wasn't always fair. Peasants toiled while knights lived in relative luxury. Still, some knights, like those in the Order of St. John, dedicated their lives to charity, guarding pilgrims in the Holy Land. Imagine being a peasant watching a knight ride by in gleaming armor. Would you admire or resent him? Let me know in the comments, and let's explore this dynamic together. Now let's travel to the Holy Land, where knights became crusaders. The Crusades, starting in 1095, were a defining chapter for knighthood. Pope Urban II called for warriors to reclaim Jerusalem, and knights answered, driven by faith, glory, and promises of salvation. The First Crusade was a grueling march. Knights faced starvation, disease, and fierce enemies like the Seljuk Turks. Yet they captured Jerusalem in 1099, cementing their legend. But the Crusades weren't all heroic. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 saw knights sacking Christian Constantinople, driven by greed. The Knights Templar, a powerful order, rose during this era, guarding pilgrims and amassing wealth, only to face a shocking downfall in 1312, accused of heresy. The Crusades reveal the duality of knighthood, devotion and ambition intertwined. What do you think drove knights to risk everything on these holy wars? Share your thoughts below, and let's unpack this epic saga. As we continue, let's shine a light on the tournaments that made knights household names. These events were like medieval Super Bowls, blending sport, spectacle, and danger. Jousting was the main event, two knights charging with lances, aiming to unhorse their opponent. Crowds cheered, ladies offered favors, and winners gained fame. But tournaments weren't just games. They were training grounds for war, honing skills and building alliances. Some, like the 1344 Round Table Tournament in England, were lavish, with knights dressing as Arthurian heroes. Yet injuries were common, and deaths weren't rare. The thrill drew knights like moths to a flame, but it also sparked rivalries. Picture yourself in the stands watching a joust unfold. Who would you bet on and why? Drop your pick in the comments and let's crown a champion. Let's pivot to a surprising secret. Knights were innovators. Beyond their martial prowess, they drove advancements in technology and culture. Armorers developed stronger steel, leading to better weapons and tools. Knights' castles, with their drawbridges and murder holes, were engineering marvels. Their demand for exotic goods during the Crusades boosted trade, connecting Europe to the Middle East. Even their horses, bred for strength and speed, influenced agriculture. The 13th century knight Roger Bacon, a scholar, pushed for scientific inquiry, laying groundwork for the Renaissance. Knighthood wasn't just about fighting, it shaped progress. Think about it. Which medieval invention surprises you most? Share your favorite in the comments, and let's geek out over medieval tech. As we near the end of our journey, let's confront a darker truth. Not all knights were heroes. Some abused their power, extorting peasants or waging private wars. The 14th century knight John Hawkwood, an English mercenary, led armies for hire in Italy, loyal only to gold. Others, caught in feuds, turned castles into bandit strongholds. These rogue knights challenged the chivalric ideal, showing knighthood's flaws, yet their stories add depth to the legend. Knights were human, capable of greatness and greed. Imagine meeting a rogue knight on a lonely road. Would you trust him? Let me know below, and let's dive into this moral gray zone. Before we wrap up, let's reflect on the legacy of medieval knights. Their tales inspired the Renaissance, the Age of Exploration, and even modern fantasy like Game of Thrones. The Round Table of King Arthur, though likely myth, still symbolizes unity and honor. Knights shaped laws, like England's Magna Carta, and their castles dot Europe's landscape, drawing millions of tourists. Their story is one of grit, glory, and contradiction, a reminder that heroes are complex. What's your favorite knightly legend from Arthur to the Templars? Share it in the comments and let's keep the conversation going. We've uncovered the secrets of medieval knights, from their grueling training to their shining armor, from bloody battles to chivalric ideals. They were warriors, innovators, and sometimes rogues, but their legacy endures. If you loved this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. You won't want to miss what's next. Speaking of which, our next video will explore why medieval castles were unbreakable, medieval fortresses. Get ready to discover the genius behind those stone giants. Before you go, drop a comment. What surprised you most about knights? Your thoughts fuel this channel, so let's hear them. Thanks for joining me on this epic adventure. See you in the next one.